are yet again live. We are going to be breaking down the upcoming snow event, snowstorm, whatever you want to call it, for this weekend. What's in store? Um, some are still kind of hesitant, but I think confidence really over the past couple of days has increased for what's in store. Specifics, no, that's where it's TBD, but we're going to break down kind of what I'm looking at, what to expect, what my thoughts are, what to keep an eye on for scenarios, basically the whole shebang. And yeah, that's kind of the rundown here of how things are going to go. Um, Solely focusing on that and not anything quite beyond yet. Everything right now is focused on this system, see how best we can forecast it. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure to hit that like if you haven't already. Newly monetized, so we got to keep going here. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in here. Let's wait for some people to filter in, and I will open up the chats here. See what we got cooking. Alrighty, let's go here. Let's open this up. What we got in the nothing in the chat yet, or at least that chat. Oh, Kevin, how we doing? I feel like I'm in a great spot for this one. You might be, Kevin. You might be. We're gonna discuss where I think where I think to watch here. Okay. Send out stuff. Galantz, how we doing? Joanne, welcome very much. First message on X is Yuki bomb. The Uke Met hype right there from K17. Joe Weather, how we doing? What's up, man? No promises on the choke job. I'm just trolling a little bit. I don't want y'all to take it too serious with that. But the title. We gotta have. I like to have fun with the title, guys. We gotta. Yeah, it's a good. I don't want to. It's not really trying to clickbait. It's just a good good engagement strategy. More so not the video, but more so for your brains here. Get you hopefully fired up, inspired to contribute to the stream. So we'll get going here in a second. We'll just pull up. Mainly high resolution Euro, just so I want to be able to pinpoint. Don't worry, we're not really gonna. Well, I will show the run eventually, but that's not really the point. We really want to just show where our energy is right now, and then we're gonna use that to help with satellite. It's pretty crazy still how far away our main energy is with this system. Not how far away it is, just it's just gonna take some time here with some of these pieces from models, to kind of figure out what's going on here. So we'll give it another second for people to filter in here, and then we got cooking. We got something here, guys. So I'm not bullcrapping you here. Um, Again, we got monetized now, so no, definitely we didn't cuss before, but definitely no cussing here. Okay, we gotta find a way to get pennies into Brady's pocket right here. Find a way, um, ethically, obviously, ethically find a way. It'd be very easy to just spit out fun clickbait into the algorithm. Also on the title image, do not do not make too much of exact specifics of where I drew that. I just pulled up an old an old Photoshop design. I did not have time to create a specific new thumbnail for this, but But I think tomorrow or Friday we'll put out a threat map. I think tomorrow, Friday, we'll put out a threat map because I'm pretty confident there's going to be accumulating snow with this. So I'm not just saying that. I really do think there is, at least as a floor, some accumulating snowfall, and really kind of fill in what some people are claiming to be the snow hole already, even though it's December 10th. Like, I get it. We had a couple of southern sliders, so to say. Not even full southern sliders, more mid-Atlantic to southern sliders. I get it. And then we've had the interior, so it feels like, oh my God, there's this massive snow hole. But listen, we you know we just started meteorological winter 10 days, and guys, technically December is not really prime winter anymore, and it's not. I know it's considered. We have Christmas time, and it feels like it, but I wouldn't say this is house money here. I think it's always good to get a good start to the winter, but I wouldn't view it as, oh man, it's been 10 days into December, and man, I only have zero point 0.3 inches at my house. It's over. It's like I wouldn't view. I would just, yeah, be careful. Listen, I see it. I'm seeing it all right now on X, guys. I'm seeing it all. You got not all, not everyone. I don't want to put everybody, but many are ruthless and relentless right now. They are, uh, they are just, uh, they are just un definitely always been unhinged. But man, it is a lot to take in for some people. Part of me is like, man, I don't even want to look at the platform right now. It's it is it's whatever. So yeah, I wouldn't look too much into long range models right now. I really wouldn't. I promise. North Carolina might be a little different, central part of the country, but especially for Mid Atlantic into Northeast, I would be a bit careful into and especially Great Lakes, Northern U.S. I'd be careful what you're looking at right now for some of those long range models. Be careful. Be careful what you see. Twisted. We'll get going here in a second. What does snowfall mean to you? Tell me about how it relates to your childhood. I'm from New Jersey and I follow you. And also a hey. Hetty hats for life. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for following me. I love my Jersey people. What does snowfall mean to you? Twisted. What do you think snowfall means? What do you think snowfall means to you, my man? For me, snowfall is everything, right? Is it not? It makes or breaks your life. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that, according to Twitter, it does. um, but no, I love the snow. Always have those. Some of those great winters of the 2000s and 2010s. Was what really got me to deep dive into this stuff. Watching from the Delmarva area. Well, thank you, Joanne. Delmarva has a chance for something here, although not favored, I would say. That might be a little bit tougher spot depending on the specifics, but we'll see. We will see here. I want to break down of those 70-degree temps and PA18DZ. Twisted, unbelievable. According to Twitter, I feel like it drives us to love meteorology. Everything does. I want in-depth analysis of the Christmas 18Z GFS Christmas blizzard. Um, will happen, but you just have to imagine it. McLovin, could I get snow actually? Yes, potentially. I think you're Rhode Island, right? I think so. Yeah. I think you're in a decent spot here to at least get something. But we'll break it down. It's not set in stone yet, so I don't want to say it like that. But I'm saying increasing confidence. I'd love to get two to four out of the storm. This verifies. I'm not sure where you live, RHB, but we're gonna get into it here. So it's just a coaster stuck to a glass. Without without further ado, we've got people in here now. Let's get started. So okay, so that's the system. This is the system we're tracking here. This time frame here is um, mainly Sunday, is what I would say. You could say late Saturday night, maybe for some of those more far interior areas into the western parts of the Northeast. Fall River, yeah, Fall River could get some accumulating snow here. Absolutely, uh, but let's stay tuned here. We're gonna break it down. What's going on here? So we pull up the pen tool. if I-95 was not to get snow from this, is there a better chance it would be from suppression or marginal temps? That's actually a very good question. Very good question. I would say suppression. I would say, well, it depends on where I-95. I-95 Mid-Atlantic, I would say a stronger storm in mixing potential. I-95 Mid-Atlantic. I-95 Northeast, it would probably be a little bit more of a suppression, but even then, guys, 'cause some of the things are kind of set into stone here, so at least some accumulating snowfall for some places is getting pretty increasingly confident, in my opinion. So um, it would take something drastic in observations over the next couple days to kind of um, for kind of the train to fall off the train tracks here, in my opinion, for at least a floor of some sort of accumulating snowfall here. But let's get into it. So this is currently our, many are calling it a clipper, and you can definitely call it a clipper, but this is more dynamic than just your average clipper. And we saw that it was 970 bang shebang, whatever you want to call it here. And we'll just pull up the GFS too, just so people aren't. Actually, we'll pull up a middle ground Canadian, just so people aren't going berserk, saying, "Oh man, you're picking the one model that shows this." Just Euro's highest resolution, showing the pieces for what I wanted. That was the only reason. Um, Here is your system right now. Dynamic system. I mean, double close contour lines. Almost, I think it almost triple at one point. This thing gets, excuse me, into the 970s millibar pressure wise. So blizzard conditions on the backside of this, as another system moves through, is possible with that tight gradient from the high pressure. As you take a look, you note that. So some blizzard conditions are possible here with this storm, and we're going to talk about another, not really storm, but more clipperish like event, true clipperish like event that swings through on the backside. But guys, this is a dynamic freaking system here. It's going to have some staying power for a couple days, but it kind of sets the stone. It sets in stone here is the confluence, and you can already see the edge of this confluence piece. Um, kind of being set already. What comes in behind. Um, and that sets the stage for preventing any significant inland track with this system. Oh, I forgot to mention, hit the like if you're in the YouTube, helps a lot. I'm sure some X people will be like, shut up, but too bad. I need the support. It's very helpful. Um, and as we slide on through, this becomes pretty dynamic system as well, pretty potent snowstorm likely up into Canada. Slide this more through a little bit, and it has some staying power, but man, is it going to bring up some cold air, probably some lake effect on the backside as well. Like no doubt, we're going to probably see same thing we were seeing a lot of November with those backside snow on a lot of these systems, where it's lake effect, interior snow squalls, stuff like that. We're going to probably wash, rinse, repeat with some of that stuff here over the next couple days. But then we have another system that slides through right here, and this is going to provide Thursday into Friday accumulating snowfall here along the Corn Belt here into the Appalachians. Probably stops at the Appalachians. Maybe some flurries make it past into the Mid-Atlantic, but nothing crazy too likely here. But again, this is setting the stage with some pretty impressive cold air out ahead of the system and in behind. I mean, take a look. We have two shots of deep cold air, guys, here. I mean, take a look at the cold air in place. These are 850 millibar temps. Super cold here, especially for this time of the year. Take a look at the anomalies. I mean, guys, very good Arctic air here in place out ahead, and then also along with the system too. So not along, it's really along the system, especially on the backside. So this will be kind of a cold air advection event that we're going to be seeing here, with the cold air pressing against some of the subtropical moisture here, and then also from the Atlantic ridging we have here to prevent just an extreme fast flow out. So the key will be the question is how much, and we'll get into that. But there's going to be at least some. There's going to be at least some. Question will really be though how much to an extent the ridging placement and strength of both in the western U.S. From the Pacific Ridge and in the Atlantic. Those two are going to be key factors on how this plays out specifically. So that system rolls through, provides nice cold snow ratio, good ratio snow for the Midwest, upper Midwest, Corn Belt, into the Appalachians too, places like West Virginia, North Carolina, into some of the Smokies in some of those places, Northeast Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky. So some of those same places that we've been talking about, really into a good amount of Kentucky, actually, not just Eastern. And so that's where the kind of the focus is going to be here with that system coming through. But again, that lays that foundation for cold air in place, guys. Take a look again. Let's go back to upper air temperatures here. We'll go to our 850s. You can go to your 925s. I mean, it's an Arctic air mass that's in place here. Let me 850 temperatures here, minus 25 to minus 30. You can see up there, up by the northern Great Lakes. So very impressive cold air, and we're talking Celsius too, by the way. And so notice as we progress here, we actually get somewhat of a thermal gradient to set up. And you can see though that rain snow line stays fairly far offshore at the same time. Take a look at your 925s too, and you're staying fairly cold. So unless we are able to see some massive changes, not really just on guidance, but specifically on what's going on currently in observations, it would take some drastic changes for this to be not an all snow event, basically from New York City northward. Now it's a little bit more fickle to the south, and even then I would say places like Philly and Jersey, I wouldn't be as much concerned. South Jersey maybe, but that we can get into those specifics as we get closer. But even then, I think I would be surprised if this was not cold enough throughout the column for snow for many along the especially yes, into the I-95 corridor, and then also into the interior especially as well. And the interior will have the best ratios with this system as well. Just being closest to that extreme cold air and still probably being able. Now there's a fine line here. They're not far interior. You got to be still close enough to the action here. So there's a fine line of where those highest ratios will probably be whatever version of accumulating snowfall we get here, regardless of how much. That plays a part. Let's see. You're asking a lot of questions, heady hats, which I love. How do I feel about Long Island, Joe? We'll talk about that. You think aliens are real? Two-part question, and can we control the weather? You have a lot of questions that are beyond my power. I like to think I can control the weather because I'm going to manifest a snowstorm for the I-95 corridor this weekend for the sake of my Twitter mentions and sake of me wanting snow as well. So I'm going to say yes, I can control the weather, even though that's not exactly what you were asking. Temperature gradient was pretty crazy today, says Kevin. Got almost 50 with that strong southerly wind. Northwest Connecticut had snow. Are you northwest or northeast Connecticut? I forget. But yeah, we did get up a little bit. We melted some of our snowpack today, unfortunately. So, I mean, we had like 9 days of snowpack from just a couple inches of snow, measly a couple inches of snow. But let's let you know how cold it was this December. Which day are we talking about for the event you're speaking about? Well, I was speaking about a little clipper that comes through, and that's Thursday, Friday. And then the main event that most people are in right now is mainly for Sunday. Even though this will be across the Midwest, it'll be more Saturday. And specifics kind of still TBD. But I'll show you kind of, what I'm looking at here. I speak with vocal fry. So you must be a singer. I speak with vocal fry because it actually does. I can't believe you picked up on that. But yes, I do. Because I'm a really fast thinker. And it doesn't mean I'm the smartest thinker, but I'm a very fast thinker. So typically, thoughts tend to come out of my mouth before as soon as the thoughts come through, the words come through at the same time. So I don't breathe well enough oftentimes when I speak. So thank you for pointing out my flaws, though. That was not a shot. That was just me being facetious. Let me go to COD, and we'll kind of discuss what I'm looking at here, why I think there's a decent shot for accumulating snow. I can't just tell you guys. I got to explain. What am I looking at here? Okay. The yes, the main event that most people are in here for is Sunday. Mm, thank you for saying I'm doing great. Go to mid level water vapor. Okay, so I kind of want to go to upper level instead. Be sure if you're in the YouTube to hit the like as well. It does help a ton. I don't just say that to say it. Um, it really does. It's part of what got helped me get monetized here this week. So I don't take it for granted. I know it seems like you just ask it. No, it does help. Trust me. So this is kind of what we're looking at here in the Pacific. This is kind of where our our notable energy is at. Seeing the retraction here of the jet, I think is very key for going on through December. I think it cuts on some of this completely zonal flow that we've been seeing and rely. But I will say though, you combine that, there's some points to be made in how continuous northern stream here of that cold source ready to be tapped in at some point. Now, regardless if it stays completely cold for everybody, that's another avenue for another day. I think this is a good thing down the line. And some people will just look at a 500 millibar height map and tell you all their emotions and feelings they're going through. It's a snapshot of one day, a 6-hour time frame that they took, and they believe that's the entire forecast, 10 to 15 days out. And it's just not how the weather works whatsoever at all. So, but we're not going to go too much in the long range pattern. Here is what's going on. You can see we have a notable Pacific ridge here. As you can see, we have a pretty decent influx of subtropical moisture here, actually. Some of it's still being reserved. Now, this will be a key, guys. Here, I can already tell you this will be a key. There's enough here. There's enough here to make some action happen. So I'm going to be watching over the next couple days here how much of this. I already kind of like what I'm seeing tonight, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I want to see how much of this gets pulled into the system. I want to see how much this can get pulled a little bit further north. So again, this will be flat. You have this pretty notable ridge here. So we're not going to see this pull up here. That's not what we're looking for. But over time, I want to see how some of the subtropical moisture here crosses over into the Gulf, how much of this eventually does get pulled into our system. That's a key factor. Trough tilt and orientation will play a part in that as well, and how well we can have access. But here's kind of where a lot of your action is coming in right now. This big gyre here over the Pacific that we talked about. And I'm going to open up Weather Bell so I can kind of show you a little bit more clear again what we were kind of talking about in the beginning. Sorry, let me open up the chat again. Who are my favorite people in Weather X? Beautiful storm west of Alaska. It's there's a lot going on in the Pacific right now. That's kind of been controlling a lot of what's going on in my pattern. Great, thank you. The time is too small in the models for my highs. That's okay. My favorite people on X, there's some. Actually, really, I'm pretty annoyed with much of X. Some of the weather thoughts and some variation, but um, there's some out there. Some are a little unactive at the moment, so hard for me to suggest for you right now. But I want to show you where our storm is. So I know this is kind of small, but there you go. There's multiple parts to our storm too here. And so this is one part here at 500 millibars. This is a main part of our northern stream here, and it's kind of a two-part northern stream. As you can see, as this evolves here, as the Clipper system, the big guy, this guy moves out. This guy moves up into the North Atlantic. We'll kind of we'll camp out for a few days across. It'll slowly meander its way through, but also kind of help set the stage for the confluence piece that it leaves behind. Stream separation will be a thing, but I think that ties more into, to be honest, some of the Atlantic ridging than anything else. One thing I think I talked about it is some of these models, guys, they tend to hold on to these systems a little bit longer than oftentimes they actually do. They like to kind of wrap up completely, stall it a little too long. See it in the medium to short range all the time with some of these systems, especially these really big dynamic systems. And oftentimes they progress further than what some of these models predict. So you'll see something, especially with the GFS. I told you guys, GFS was going to struggle with this system, and it has mightily so far. Back and forth, been all over the place. So it'll probably slowly come back. Is how it will go. You're kind of already seeing that today with the GFS. But that moves through. You kind of get part of this kind of zonal Pacific related flow here. So what gets set is this, this confluence comes in onto the edge at the end of this confluence piece. Multiple confluence pieces at work here, so to say, and then you also have this northern lobe here as well. But here's a reminder. So before we go back to COD, I'll show you where our storm is moving over. And it's not that I didn't realize this, but I just realized Bernie had made a great point earlier today. We showed you the cold air. Look where the system's moving over, though, guys. The system is moving over the coldest air, I don't know, in the world, but at least in some of the coldest air in North America right now. Probably that second coldest is up by the North Pole. But this is Arctic. I mean, this is true Arctic polar air. This is the winter, guys. The best way I can put it here. It's gonna move over that. It's gonna move over some of that fresh snowpack too across. It's not extreme in some of these places here over some of the territories in Canada, but it is very notable in the northern U.S. as well. We'll be moving over that, so it will pull. The system is going to pull in a lot of cold air, and and this is what will help create that baroclinic zone to the south and create probably some pretty decent forcing along with the system. But you can see how much too, and it digs, right? The cold air, it gets dropped in, guys, like a bowling ball of ice cubes. You can kind of imagine it. So, and so as we slide through here, that's where our upper level energy swing through, and there's multiple pieces. It slides through over that deep Arctic cold air there that we're seeing in central and western Canada, because we talked about the cold air displacement, guys. It's been like this. It's been like this for weeks now. It's been some variation of this to this or coming across, right? This is kind of the variation we've seen here in our cold air. After this storm, we'll have to see exactly what that displacement looked like in the location, because that could really help define some of our snow potentials after. But that's too far beyond to discuss at the moment, in my opinion. I'm full on invested in this. I'm gonna slide this slightly here. Hopefully we get something in the city this weekend. I hope you do too, Ike. Me too. But we'll take a look here. Note where some of that energy is coming from. It's a really complicated gyre. You can see there in the Pacific. And this is going to be tricky to tell until we get, until we get about a couple days from now, until this gets kind of slingshotted off. These two pieces here get slingshotted off into our system. Very, very, very tricky for models. This is why models are going to continue to be all over the place, run to run. There's not going to be any consistency. I'd be surprised if there was consistency. I appreciate you taking the time to do all this. It's my pleasure. Happy to do this. I love breaking this stuff down. If I didn't, there wouldn't be 280 videos on YouTube and probably 400 plus on X. So combined over the years. So it's what I love to do. But again, watching that large Pacific gyre out there, the specifics of what gets left, and also the specifics of the ridge, the specifics of the Pacific. Complicated statement to say. You can see that ridge there. How does this energy come in over? Does it? How much does it sink in right away? The flatter and longer this stays for more time, the more neutral this trough will stay for longer. The weaker this system is, your ceiling along this corridor gets limited for snowfall. Probably talking coating to 2, 1 to 3, maybe some 3 to 5 local swaths of snow. Now, vice versa, we slide here to what are the other, kind of two other scenarios. I would say, there's a middle ground, and I'd say unable to forecast at this moment. There's just nothing to support it, but depending on how the energy comes off, can't be ruled out. Would be, in higher end scenario of a big snowstorm, significant snowstorm. That can't really be forecasted at this moment. Just there's not quite enough to. For me, it would be if I got to see it. I can't just imagine or envision it, but I have to see it. But then your other kind of scenario that I think is in play here as well is if we do able to get this energy to kind of sink in here, we allow some Atlantic ridging to build in, which oftentimes can get underestimated in this range. So keep an eye on that. And again, like we talked about, guidance oftentimes holds on to this for just a little bit too long, and that makes a difference in the stream separation we see. Listen, this is mainly so just discussing model biases. Discussing the model biases here. And so allowing that stream separation just a little bit more than what you're seeing on some guidance. That Atlantic ridging builds in. We have it, guys. We have Atlantic ridging finally, or at least pretty notable. You can see how this builds in here. Take a look. We have it. It's the question of how quickly it builds back in, and this is where I have concerns in terms of not end of world. I'm not talking about just literal, like if you look at the word concern for what it is, not how it oftentimes get viewed. Something to note, something to be aware of here. How much does this build back in? And this will define. And here's what I'll say is, guys, these confluence, this is not a super strong confluence piece either. It's notable, but it is not tied to this. Confluence pieces, they wobble. They are not tied to the certain area. These confluence pieces are very volatile, and they make models very tricky, because what these, I'll zoom in more to show you. What is a confluence piece? What does it do? It works to kind of steer the system as a high pressure system would, a regular high pressure. So this confluence piece here, if it's further north, this will allow height lines to rise more sooner, and you'll see easier amplification earlier. You'll probably get a more neutral to negative tilt slightly earlier on, and you'll allow convection to kind of wrap in closer and sooner, and you'll get a more notable snow event to snowstorm. Confluence presses down more for longer, especially all across. You got to keep an eye on the angles of the confluence too. And if we see that happen, then how this progresses is we start seeing a more strung out, sheared out system. Even if such a dynamic upper level vor, it will still produce some snow here, I think, but the ceiling will be much more limited in what is to progress here. And this turns into still snowfall for a lot of these areas here, but your ceiling gets much more limited here. Your ceiling, we're talking about more lower end accumulating snowfall, maybe some isolated areas of plowable, maybe some local swaths of plowable snowfall, but nothing too out of the ordinary significant. Still some snow game potentials here on Sunday, guys, too. For anybody watching the NFL, you can keep an eye on that. But it will really depend on some of these specifics that we are watching here, right? So that we slide back, let's tie it all together again. Right in that gyre that we're talking about is kind of where our system is coming from. There's two parts of this here. This part here and this part here. You slide back, it's really hard to even tie them together where exactly they are coming in. It's really almost three parts, to be honest. It's this guy, and whatever comes with this guy. So that's going to be really tricky for models to decipher. As you can see, I'm sure it's hard to decipher for you on the screen right now. Just imagine how it is for models run to run. It's hard. Again, it's not breaking news, but I'm just telling you why you see what you see on models a lot of times. I almost want to zoom out a little bit more even. Did I? And you'll know, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on, and so this is what we'll be watching. We'll see kind of what of these pieces here over the next few days, kind of the orientation, how this progresses. Now, note there is some amplification. Now you can see it is semi-flat. It is, it's still a little bit of a zonal flow here, but there is some amplification within the scheme of the wave. And oftentimes when you have multiple shots of upper level energy, when they get shot out, usually the latter one is the one that's able to amplify more. Historically, oftentimes we see that's the one that's able to amplify a little bit more, and oftentimes can produce at least some version of an East Coast storm threat or snowfall threat. So that's kind of the idea with this one. You see the first one that goes into the mid-Atlantic, that weaker one, and then the next one that comes through a little bit more notable. So that's, again, what we're honing in on here with this system is what exactly comes off this gyre, this large areas congested with vorticity of overall large spin here within the whole entire much of the Pacific. And then again, what do we pull here for subtropical moisture? What do we pull? How close do we have access to this? And how much they'll kind of go hand in hand. These two, depending on how eventually it digs over the ridge. Again, the ridge will keep pushing a little bit more further east. So let's see some of the questions here. I tried to heart your comment. How much does it have to do with the temperatures of the waters in the North Pacific? I haven't looked too closely at those, but I'm sure it plays a part. Chances for New York City. Yeah, New York City is in play here for accumulating snowfall. The models have been poo-poo. I'm not a meteorologist. We need to rely more on what You know from studying experience, even the AI models are gross. I think the AI models are better in the grand scheme of things, but they have their biases too. So they're not perfect, but I think you'll see the AI models kind of prevail a little bit more with this system, just as a general whole. But it's tricky. It's complicated. They're not all perfect. I really wish Weatherbell would get its act together, man. It's been terrible today. Uh, I try to leave out some of the personal information of like age, school, uh, exact address, stuff like that. I try to leave out just for personal reasons for myself. I'm sure eventually one day a lot of that stuff we'll get to it, but actually, to be honest, I did not even I did not even finish a meteorology degree. I started with the idea of it, and then I was like, ugh, I don't think I can do this and all the other stuff I want to do as well in my life. Um, it just didn't make sense for me. I already feel like I had a decent grasp on stuff, but I took a fair amount of classes related to um, between climate science, meteorological, basic meteorology, environmental science, related topics. Even took a geology class too, believe it or not, which is about as loosely related to it as you can get. But so I took some stuff related to it as well. Helps a little bit, but to be honest, most of this is self-taught. So this is not really this is not too much uh, from somebody specifically teaching. Honestly, just taking note over the years, I guess, trying to pinpoint stuff as best as I could. Let's see what we got here. I will say, it's definitely more progressive on this run. Stronger ridge, less stream separation. So this specific run is not going to look as good, guys, if I had to guess. So sorry we can't keep the streak going of solid model runs here, unless there's something that is breaking here on this run. This run will not look as good. But I will say, right around when we started to get into this range, and even then it's scraping. It still provides some. This is if that's your floor for a system, you're still getting accumulating snowfall for a good amount of people. But my point is, also, AIFS ensemble tends to be a little bit more consistent than the AI specific model. So we keep note of the models, we keep track, but we do not rely on the models. But we'll show you an example. Why was this a little bit less, for example? So even though you kind of, not really, you kind of dig your model sooner, you can notice you're not able to, you're more positively tilted with the trough, a little bit less Atlantic ridging, a little bit too strong pushing from the Pacific Ridge, not pulling in subtropical moisture early enough as well. As a result, it's lesser snowfall. So that's kind of why you see what you see on this specific run. But again, we show the model runs. We do not rely on the model runs. We rely on the idea of the meteorology, what's currently being shown on especially satellite is really important. But just you got to be able to look at as many observations as you can, kind of take that. And to be honest, a lot of what I do is just basically how much can I research on these past specific setups. That's kind of what I do, guys. A lot of my specific time. Technology is so amazing now of how quick we can locate stuff in terms of sources. So I really do my best because, like I said, self-taught a lot of this stuff. So I have to, teach a lot of this stuff the best I can. Learn setups the more I can. Um, many of you know it's not like I'm an elderly gentleman, even though I don't reveal my age. I think that's pretty clear. So I don't have the experience that others do. So I have to find different ways to forecast things as best as I can, and I try to add as much to the Rolodex as I can of information, I guess. But I do what I can. Sunday, should DC and South by an hour see snow? Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I want to say yes, but do not need to apologize for being late. Hit it, Mega. What's the weather looking like for the Pats game? There is a chance of snow. I'm assuming, is it a 1 o'clock game, Pats? I don't think they flexed it, did they? They flexed the next week game. And this for me, too. This is a hobby, passion about weather. That brings me back to the question of how do you feel about snow? Of course I love snow. Excitement storms, a bunch of people in here discuss right down. We all love snow. We have childhood moments. Maybe only 80s kids. I don't think it's just. I don't think it's just people that were born before the 2000s. I think a lot of people love it. But couldn't get through the math, so I completely understand. We can all agree it's a passion. AFS cut it back on the QPF. Yep, we broke that down. Why it showed what it showed. But again, let me guys. So here's why I'm saying the P-type maps are we're looking at that. We're waiting for it to come out. But here's what I mean. So there's notable changes. They're not massive, but they are notable. We could see them, see the difference. The more positively tilted in the trough. But take a look. What in the grand scheme of things massively changed on that setup? Nothing. Same stuff, same things there. Minor changes in the grand scheme of things. But the problem is, you guys do this. Not all. I don't want to clump everybody, but many people do this, and they go, "Oh, uh-oh, storm's over." It's just like, come on. It's uh-oh. It's trending, downtrend. Uh-oh. I really need the models to show this. I really need these models that I will say stink really badly 6 hours from now, but right now I really need these models to show what I'm showing. And this is the problem. This is the problem with forecasting. That's not how it works. It's not how it's relied upon. And many will say they don't, but they still do. It is the problem. And it's not just weather enthusiasts. It's I see plenty of degree meteorologists rely on a lot of this, rely on that stuff too. And it's frustrating too, because we have a lot of bright minds. But that's ultimately not how it works with this system. So this is a system where if you're just looking at the P-type maps, you will get thrown off. You will get thrown off here. That's why with this system, you can probably, I said it earlier today, you can probably get a good idea of what's going to happen by literally only looking at 500 and 700. You could. But there's more aspects of the storm, right? So we take a look at 250 jet as well, if you'll know. We'll slide back around. It's not fully out yet. Dual jet structure. That's pretty impressive. And that would do some stuff there. But again, you gotta go neutral at the same. You gotta go neutral around here. We do. I'll show you. Still really positively tilted, to be honest. Eventually you do. So you get in the beginning part, see that dual jet streak kind of come together as well that we talked about last storm. And associated with it's a lot of lift going to one area at the same time. But again, when we see these, I'm telling you, these kind of events, even if minor, I'm telling you guys, even if minor and they do not look great, I'm telling you, when they actually happen, they tend to produce pretty well. They tend to. When you have cold snow, you have a solid jet streak moving through the area. You have solid cold air event here from the backside, high ratio snow. I'm telling you, they tend to at least semi-produce for whatever the specifics of the setup are. It's just something to of note here. Again, we don't want to overanalyze this thing. What are we, 4 days out? Almost a little less than. So we want to be cognizant of that as well. Because whatever every 6 hours these model runs show, I'm telling you, a lot of you guys think the closer you get, the better the models are. That's not always the case. That is not always the case. I don't think this is going to be drastically different here, but it's not going to be. We'll see. The main lobe is pressing slightly more, but it's a little less stream separation. Slightly less from the main lobes. You could argue here there's a little less. This is why there's multiple confluence pieces in here. So that's what makes it a little bit tricky too on the specifics of each setup. Or the specifics of each run you see, I guess I should say. But yeah, this is something I'm watching here is subtropical jet moisture here, and then when this trough sinks in here, how much can it? How soon can it sink in as well? How effectively? And how much can get pulled in here to help turn the trough around faster? So imagine it like your upper level energy gets synced in here, and it's how much can it turn around, basically, is what it's going to have to do. And that's why the odds for, I think, are pretty, like a big snowstorm, which is technically there. That's why I think it's going to be hard to maximize in this setup. Not impossible, but I just don't think it's the most realistic probability. And to be honest, I just don't think I'm close enough to be able to tell you exactly what kind of event we're going to be having in store either. Now, say it's a little bit, so this part of the confluence lifts a little bit more, but this part pressed down. So it's probably slightly later development if I had to guess. Because it's not quite as amplified. You can see your 540 line get pressed down a little bit. So this run is not going to be probably as amplified as the 18Z, at least not initially. But eventually, guys, this is going to be a behemoth of a storm here. This is going to be a monster. And we're in the beginning stages of that, really, relative to this. This thing's going to be a blizzard for Canada, probably. It's probably going to be a blizzard for them. We're in the beginning stages. We're like along basically the frontal boundary here of how things start out. And basically along that boundary, we're trying to see how much we can kind of dig this trough, how much we can turn it soon enough, counterclockwise, how much we can spin this trough a little bit around on its axis, and how early we can get the upper level low to open up. Otherwise, it's going to be more sheared out. And you still get I think you still get some accumulating snowfall in that, and regardless, guys, as a floor. I'd be surprised if there was nothing to come out of this. You still get some accumulating snowfall as a floor, and that's probably the safest bet as of right now, just based on past history and how hard it has been in recent history to be able to get to convert some of these for potential at least more than plowable snows. But it's also not just worth it's just saying, oh man, since we haven't had a decent snowstorm here recently, it can't happen. It's also not how the atmosphere works. But let's compare this to 12Z. And I guess we're not going to be able to because, geez, it's really annoying sometimes. This weather bell thing is so annoying. When you click on a time frame, then it just doesn't. Oof. There we go. What? Why? Why? It's so annoying. I hate this part of weather bell so much. What? Can it not do hour? Is there no hour 92? There is an hour. No, it's 93. How about now? There we go. There we go. Even that's more positively tilted. From 12Z even. You see the angle and the confluence different? So this part of the confluence is higher. This part lower though. So this is not going to produce, if I had to guess, probably not going to produce as much snowfall. See the difference there at 18Z? If I'll zoom in. That's harder. That's harder for CMC. OZ, 18Z, much more better consolidated sooner. This won't be out yet because it takes forever, but see that too? You still get accumulating snow here. You still do. But you're limiting your ceiling here. A reminder, what are we, 3.5, just under 4 days out, depending on where you are specifically. In terms of if you do care about the model guidance a lot, which is okay if you do. I'm not blaming you, even though I wouldn't if I were you. We're not in a terrible spot here. We're not in a terrible spot to be able to get this to an uptrend, as many on WX Twitter like to say, even though I hate the uptrend and downtrend stuff. I kind of despise it, but there's your general idea. Aside from following meteorology, what is your favorite thing to do in a snowstorm? My favorite thing to do is probably film it. See when the heaviest part of the snowstorm is going to be. I like seeing how heavy the rates can get. Are we still trusting the euro considering the major failure it had last storm? Guys, every model. I'm not just. That's a good point for me to bring up. The euro. We're looking at the euro because it's a model run coming out. We're not looking at the euro right now because it's some fantastic model. And also, guys, we got to talk about this too. It was not a major failure as much as, and I know it's easy to say that based on the P-type maps. You guys go, you see how big systems are and how small of an area we live in? We have like over 50 million people that live in this corridor. Look how large the atmosphere is. And these models, days out in advance, have to be so specific. And we live in an exit latitude region for storms right off the coast. Models are so much better than many of you realize. I'm telling you, they are. You don't realize how to have to be in a lot of your expectations for these. To keep that in mind. They are tools. And I thought the Euro did a good job of highlighting what would be a little bit more of a colder scenario for snowstorm in that last one. I think guidance was fantastic with the last system. I really do. It highlighted the scenarios at play. Maybe everything besides the NAM did a good job at highlighting scenarios, because that's what models are, guys. They're tools. They are tools to use to help aid the forecast. They are not meant to be the forecast. Again, my man City, I promise this is nothing here directed at you whatsoever. You brought up a very good point for us to discuss, so thank you. Models, guys, are tools. They are tools to use. They're effective tools to use if you know how to use them. Again, there's nothing uptrend in here, guys. At OZ, there's nothing where there was no uptrend. You can say there was or whatever. I'm telling you, it wasn't. In fact, for many, this was actually less snowfall. This was not as strong of a system, so it may have produced more on your snowfall map in this run, but this was a weaker, more positively tilted run. And you can kind of note that it just kind of shifts the snow axis a little bit further south and a little bit positively tilted. So technically, it produces a little bit more snow. But again, there's no trending. There's no trending going on with models right now. It's a bunch of noise. It's a bunch of noise, and I'm trying even better now this year to look even farther away from them, even farther away, because they're really not that helpful. They're really not. They're not that helpful in the context they get used in. Do you think we could see at least 2 inches south of DC? I don't know specifics. I think you could see some measurable snow, yes, but I don't want to say you guys are going to see have a good shot for 2 inches of snow or something in that spot. But yes, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast New England, I95 corridor is in line to see some snow here. First call for DC. You will not make me do that. I cannot double Daniel. I'm sorry. I know you who want. We're just not close enough, guys. I'm telling you, we're just not close enough. I'm confident in the general idea of a floor. I am not confident in the specifics of exactly how this turns out whatsoever. I am not. I have some suspicions of how it might turn out, but I don't want to reveal those quite yet. Just given there's not enough to I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I want to see some more stuff. We have to hit benchmarks. Crazy how we can't cash in on this cold like usual. I mean, that's relative. That's relative. I think that's more of a perspective thing, how you view stuff. I don't think that's I think there's I don't think there's a ton of truth in that statement. Not I don't want to phrase this to make it seem bad. I just want you to be aware of that. I think our perspective can oftentimes get distorted by how we view things. And I've said it before, warm does not mean no snow in terms of averages, and cold does not mean always snow. I've been saying it for years now. But one thing that's non-negotiable is you can't snow above 32 degrees across the column. Just like you need to be below 32 for the entire column until the bottom to be able to snow as well. Which which we've discussed before. And yeah, I mean, I think literally besides, I think even New York City saw a trace technically, which nobody from that area wants to hear me say that. And I know they don't care about that. But I mean, pretty much there's really, besides this area, I think, and even then, some people in there have. Not even. I know Hudson Valley. There's been a It's December 10th, 11th now, and pretty much everywhere, but maybe besides here too. I mean, there's been accumulating snowfall within all these areas here. I think. I don't know Philly. Is it like that? Maybe it's like that. So you got to keep that in mind. Just because there was polar vortex disruption, talks like that. You guys heard me say I've said it from the beginning. I said there's a favorable pattern potentially, but I did not say your conversion rate in your backyard. I tried to make that so clear time and time again, especially at the start. I try to make it so clear. This does not mean your backyard is going to get it. I said northwest of 95 is what late November, early December is how it would start, at least I think, for opinions. It's been relatively that, and I think we would open up the margin for error for places along the coast, in which we did. It just went further south of places like New York City, Boston, coastal Connecticut, just to start at least. But now you have an opportunity for some accumulating snow in this corridor, so take it. Get a chance to boost your seasonal while you can. I'm telling you, if you were able to get, let's say you were able to get 2 to 3 inches here in DC, let's just say, you guys would already have 4 to 5 inches here by December. What was it? What was it? Like an inch and I saw someone said 1.8 from DC was their total, like around there. So I'm just going off that. I'm assuming you'd be up to about 4 to 5 inches by December 10th. That'd be amazing. Even if, let's just say, an inch or two. Let's just say you had 2 inches of snow. Still got 3 to 4 inches at that point. Highest ceiling, I will say, with this event is Eastern New England. This is the highest ceiling with this event. You get a low pressure to form soon enough. You get a low pressure system to form sooner, like we talked about. That trough gets tilted a little bit more neutral sooner. Then all of a sudden, it becomes a lot. I'm telling you guys, you look at the overall orientation. Look at the overall orientation of this setup here. I know it's tricky because it's potentially slightly sheared out, and it's positively tilted. There's a strong Pacific flow to the west here, but it is a dynamic 500 millibar vort, guys. That's a dynamic that is like, this is a 500 millibar vort that's capable of producing what you're going to see in Canada. Absolutely. And then you go ahead and look at the 250 jet. And take a look at that jet streak that goes over. Even when we're talking this scenario, that will produce accumulating snowfall. Just will. And you look at it, this coupled dual jet structure, meaning this side and this side coupled together to produce a fast area of ascent moving to meet your jet streak here. That's something you see with dynamic snowfalls. It's something we talked about. We had it's not a fully coupled, it was a partial couple with the last system. And even then you saw some of those snowfall totals and how that progressed. I mean, some places saw over a foot, guys. There were some isolated 12 plus totals there on that last system in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. I think there was a few of them. And there was a fair amount of double digits there too. Right? But it seemed like fast flow. It's like, I don't know if but no, as you get access to that subtropical jet early on, very good moisture flow, and we saw into the interior. We saw, kind of a widespread 5 to 10, 6 to 12 plus for a lot of those areas. Where am I located? Not specifically. I'm located in Massachusetts, by Worcester. You think once it reaches Friday evening, the storm will be much clearer? Oh, yeah. Uh, yeah, was that about 48 hours from now? Yeah. I think things will be clearer. Not ultra clear. I'm telling you the specifics of the banding with this, guys. It will almost be a nowcast with this. I would be shocked. I'm sure there will be some clarity within that a little bit, but there will be some. This one will have some surprises in terms of specifics of banding. Where to answer your question, CEO Green, what day do you think we'll have a general idea what's going to happen? Again, it's really coming down. Once these get released here, release the Kraken. Release the Kraken. Once these get released here, see what changed from last. Screen separation a little bit. See these two a little bit nudged a little bit closer. So this will be tricky. I mean, models will just they're going to keep going back. I'm telling you, they're going to keep, this is not fun stuff for models. Because all of this too, guys, a lot of where this is happening, and the reason why there's going to be so much model noise over the next, probably at least for the next couple days, at least. This is all over areas that are very poorly sampled. This just doesn't get sampled by either weather stations, balloons, etc. There's not a lot of data for models, right? Because think about it, models ingest data, they assimilate it, and then the physics or the machine learning combo, whatever it is, gets that data. So this is what makes it tricky for the AI models as well. Even though the machine learning, they have a little bit of an advantage, I would say, in this aspect. They have a little bit, but this is what makes it tricky for them as well. This is a very poorly sampled area, and I said why would the GFS would struggle. GFS really struggles even more than the Euro with these setups where late fast flow from poorly sampled areas in Canada, Alaska, off the northern Pacific. GFS struggles mightily, guys, mightily. I mean, you guys remember last year we had that. Yeah, it was only about a month from now. This time we were watching the GFS about 4 days out, trying to dump a 2 to 3 foot blizzard across the area. Well, it wasn't about 4 or 5 days out. It wasn't the same setup, but it's that concept of late fast flow, jump and ship out of these areas, poorly sampled areas. And that's why models will struggle. They'll continue to until that gets sampled. And then it will become a little bit clearer. And then still, guys, there will be the specifics of how things play out. But in theory, in theory, those Friday night runs, things should become clear. Those OZ Friday night runs. We should have it. We should have a pretty decent idea by that point. Is I-95 choking? We'll see. Man, I hope not. I do not. Listen, I love a lot of you guys and girls. I love you all. Well, not all. A lot. Some of you drive me crazy. And all of you, no, a good amount of you are psycho for this stuff. Mean well too, but psycho. And my mentions is not fun. Now it's easier to say, just don't pay attention, don't check it. But for especially the ones that I know are not troll accounts, it's a little bit harder to just dismiss people. So I try to take into account for everybody. So try not to be so dismissive of everybody. I try to make that a staple of just seeing how can I engage to give you guys some of the answers you're looking for. Because a lot of people, a lot of meteorologists don't reply to the comments. And that's why they're on social media. I think the idea is not just to share their thought. I mean, the goal is, if you are trying to be a weather person, meteorology, and you have answers or ideas or thoughts that people want, the goal is to share them. I mean, that's kind of the goal of the reason. Otherwise, you're just tweeting into the void. And there's a few where that have their point with that, but I try to answer you guys' questions. The warmer air, especially with the torch mist coming. I mean, hey man, if that's what you think, I'm not going to change your mind. So it's definitely all up to your perspective. But I already relayed my thoughts on long range ensembles and my thoughts on that stuff, and I also said I'm not going to go into a lot of that stuff. Beyond focus right now is to get the track for this system. That's the focus. Get the specifics of this system, and we can worry about the specifics now. But does Google DeepMind project when weather? Yeah, they do too. The WeatherNext too. It's I think you can, if you go to the website, you can get the data. You can code it yourself technically. Just many do not want to do that. I got access to the data. I could code it. I could put it together, send you guys out. I won't do it tonight, but the CMC Para, you're awesome. You handled everything amazingly. I would like to think so. Every single model has been terrible in long range recently. I think they're weighing into La Nina too much. I don't think it's a recently thing. I think it's been an always thing, and it's a perspective. I think the expectations we have for models are. I think there's a misconception of how models are meant to be used. They're kind of tools for us to pick apart. But the problem is, and don't take offense to this, is people that don't understand the science and don't understand what's going on as much. They look at it and think, oh man, that's just the forecast, when it's not. It's just a model depiction. And the farther you go out, the more that specific scenario, whatever that data assimilated, and whatever physics and machine learning the model has, it will just continue to play out with that specific scenario. So if it gets something off early on or in the medium range, it will just continue to be farther and farther wrong for the rest of the run. And so that's where things get a little bit tricky, and that's why models in the longer range struggle. Imagine you have all these dominoes lined up here. You have all these dominoes. And you're lined them up in different ways, lengths, close. Let's say you add one in, it's going to affect how the rest of the dominoes fall on the rate. Take one out, mess with it, it's going to have repercussions. They won't quite all fall the same down to the end. It will be a different way every time. So you have to keep that in mind with models. They are tools. They can be very valuable, but they get misused often misused. So just something to keep in mind when you're when you're using models is they're not meant to be perfect. CMC Para, I want to say it's slightly better, uh, but not too notable. I don't think it's so much better. It's not F the models. The models are fantastic if they're used properly. They just don't get used properly often. They're oftentimes taken out of context, taken without understanding, not understanding the biases as well, guys. A lot of you gotta research the biases from models and understand those. You gotta take time to learn those. I mean, anybody can look at those, those 10-to-1 snowfall maps and think, oh, that's what's gonna happen. In this P-type map, there's a lot of pretty colors, man. This looks beautiful. Oh man, there's nothing on this P-type map. This run sucks. And it's just like, that is not, it's just not how models are meant to be used. Just isn't. Just isn't. But that's oftentimes how they get used. This ensemble out, it's coming out. My guess is a lot of times the operational tends to follow. And that's what it looks like. So these two are a little bit farther apart, but this might be pressing more. Remember, the longer this takes to wrap around here, tools are, it's a great way of putting it. I guess my point recently, I've been trying to show the same thing over and over for the last month, and it hasn't happened. Well, that's kind of the bias that's been with models. You can go back to last winter as well. That's been the case. So yes, it's true. It's a fair point to make. It's true. Um, but yeah, it's been the bias with models to underestimate the press of the cold air. A lot of times, and also the fast flow of the Atlantic, for models to underestimate the speed at which this cold air comes in as well. So when you don't have much Atlantic ridging and not enough present, especially up here into the North Atlantic, or if you don't have some version, I honestly think positive NAOs are not as bad as many people think with the right setups, but that's just my take. If you don't have this combo here, let's say you have a negative NAO, but if you don't have any Atlantic luck, and then you just slide things out. So sure, maybe you slow them down briefly, but you don't allow anything to ride up the coast, especially. You prevent amplification for the Northeast I-95 corridor. Models have had a bias of dumping cold way too far west in the long range. They have, but there is a shakeup coming up here. So I'm not going to just fully on assume that there's not going to be a little bit more variety to the pattern, I will call it. I think there's going to be a little bit more variety to this, but it may not be such a bad thing. It just wouldn't surprise me. It just would. I still have my initial thing of how I think the rest of December plays out. I haven't seen enough to fully change it. I still think the general idea. I still think after this, I'm gonna have to look. I haven't honestly looked deep dive too hard in the last few days. Been more focused on this, but I just based on past history, that at least suggests the potential that you could open up your opportunity for more dynamic storm systems with the cold air on tap. That's the theory. Does it come to fruition? That's like we talked about. The conversion rate is all a big thing as well. Not just backyards, but setups too. But I'm not perfect at this either, so I'm not gonna nail down everything every time. I really hope the I95 did not get stuck here. The ensemble. Weather Bell has just been brutal lately. Brutal. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's going to go people's ways. You just can't have the Pacific Ridge flatten out this too much. You just can't. That won't work. That won't work to get a decent snowfall. You can get a little bit, and listen, I think that's what some people they just want a little bit, and that's fine. But I'm always looking at for what the end result is. Pay 30 miles a month for the models to get stuck on weather bell. Did they try to blame it too on the models, the supercomputers too? Because they work fine on other websites. They work fine on other websites. But I don't want other websites. I want the one that pay for it. The back half of December could have some great overrunning events. We'll see on the specifics. I don't want to just assume it's going to be quite bad exactly, but I don't think anybody would complain about big time front end thumps to boost the seasonal in December, if that were the case. Especially southern New England. But I don't think this is going to be a surprise. I will say this after this system, it's still this area of the Northeast, guys. Still same focused area, has the highest margin for error. Hasn't changed. But under the cold air displaced and still on tap, it doesn't limit it to these areas. I know that's kind of small, but you can see general idea of where the Northeast is there. Come on, weather belt. I have no hope for New Jersey this weekend. See, the GFS doesn't see it as strong. What do you think? I think the GFS is one of the worst models ever created in God's name. No. The GFS will not do well with this system. It just will. I wouldn't look too much at it. I wouldn't look too much at models in general right now. I knew as soon as the Euro showed that more notable at 18Z, I was like, I just knew it right away. OZ, it's going to come right back. Just knew it. Because if we talked about it, this is a poor sampling area for models. Very poor. Very poor. And so until we get this, a lot of this upper level energy to come ashore, here at 500 millibar volt we're looking at, it's going to be tricky for models. It's going to keep going back and forth. At the moment, I support accumulating snow to happen this weekend. The specifics, I couldn't tell you. I wish, but I can't. Come on, weather belt. It's just, I'm telling you, this model runs out so fast too. So once they get a few frames, it can't be the model. I mean, come on now. This is just ridiculous. You know when the Euro is loading out faster. Don't love that. Don't love that. It's less stream separation. Not what you want to see in support from the OZ guidance tonight as a whole. But my point, actually, Hmm. It's really not all that different. It's really not all that different. It's honestly not. The same pieces are there. The ensembles too, guys. They're not going to be. A lot of people are going to try the ensembles. As I lose my voice, the ensembles are going to be just as much over the place with this setup too. They just are. They're not. They're not going to be perfect here. Not even perfect. Less than perfect. Come on. What are we doing, Weatherbell? You notice how this is the most frustrated part I am? There's no model run result, no nothing. It's this right here. I think they upped the prices from last year too, and we just can't be doing this. Come on now. I get it's not easy to run a site, but it's a lot of money to pay. A lot of money. Okay, here we go. Something. No, no bueno. Yeah, no, not what you want. But if we reacted to the specifics of every model run, then we'd be doing ourselves a disservice as a forecaster. Compare 12Z to OZ. If you take out the 18Z, it's really not all that different, is it? So it just kind of lets you know. You go 12Z, OZ. If you compare it, let's do the thing. You know how we like to go in every 6 hours? Let's go from 24 hours ago to 24 hours now. But you'll notice we have a consensus mean, more amplified, a deeper digging trough on the AIFS. So let's not worry about every 6 hours of changes. Let's see where we end up another 24 hours from now. There's what? That's hour 84 tonight. There was hour 84 last night. It's a little bit more pressed. But it's also digging a little deeper. And you also have more Atlantic ridging. So there's your 24-hour difference, and you have more stream separation. So it doesn't look good? No. I'm just giving you model analysis. I'm giving you a model, guys. None of this. I'm telling you, they don't matter. These don't, they do, but they don't. These don't. I promise you. I promise you. I should be more careful with my reactions. I'm just giving you the run-to-run analysis. That's really it. If we're taking the model verbatim, and that's never the case. Forecast thoughts stay the exact same. There's a really good shot. I would be surprised if there's not accumulating snow this weekend. I-95 northeast into the mid-Atlantic. I would be surprised if there wasn't. If I'm wrong, well, then we're going to be 1 for 2 to start the season. But I think there's a good shot here. Do I think 4 inches is possible for Central Jersey? 4 inches of what? Snow? I'm assuming you're saying. I hope not rain, or something else. I don't know. Sleet, but is possible? Yes. Likely? I couldn't tell you at this point, but it's not impossible. It could. Would I forecast it now? No. But I also wouldn't forecast really much of anything now. But I would be surprised. I know you were saying snow. I was messing around. I'd be surprised if we're not talking at least at least an inch of snow. I'd be surprised for a good amount of areas along the I-95 corridor from the Northeast. I know a lot many people consider Jersey Mid-Atlantic. Just for the sake of it, Jersey people are much more like New York, Connecticut, and Boston people, much more than DC people, than both places before. I live here as well, but this that for me that plays a part. It's a small part, but and I can happily be wrong about that, but. And now the Euro's stuck at hour 69, which is fantastic. I wonder when you were going to get the Grafton special snow ban this winter. Here's how that works too, though. Is usually what ends up happening is I get nothing. I get screwed out for one part of the storm, and then all of a sudden, we get the law of averages to work their way out, and so I end up getting back into the middle of the road. I very rarely end up getting a band that makes me separate so much more than everyone else. I'm usually in the middle. Ay, ay, ay. Do we dare look at these P-type maps? Not even out yet. Not even out yet. I guess we can look at the Jeffs. I've lived in Jersey my whole life, and I've just never have hope. I-95, always a confusing track. Well, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Look there. There you go. Compare that to 06Z. Take a look from 06Z Jeffs to OZ Jeffs. So we talk about the GFS. GFS made changes today, guys. GFS made changes to help better support accumulating snow potential. If you're going to follow the models closely, there you go. And also the OZ GFS2 under the hood looked definitely improved from the 06 or the 18Z. But it's got work to do. You can look at some of the panels here, get an idea. It's got some. Also, keep in mind when you look at these model snow maps too, if you do decide to, it's not going to be 10 to 1. A lot of areas it's going to be higher than 10 to 1. You keep that in mind. And then maybe even another clipper on the backside too that moves through. Ocean enhancement too, guys. This is another thing. This is an ocean, so especially southeastern New England, eastern New England here. This is a system that could have some ocean enhancement. So keep that in mind as we look at this too. Here's another thing as well. We like to break down model. We like to make things very cut and dry a lot of times, black and white. Oh, it's fast flow. It's positive NAO. It's this Atlantic. It's this. But when we accumulate snow, it's a math game, guys. That's what it turns into. New day and age analytics. No, it's not new day. It's consistent. It's a math game. It's really a math game. Let's say you snow for 12 hours at an average of a quarter inch per hour. So at just an average, maybe some hours are higher, some hours are lower. Let's say you average that. Do the math. Well, if I had a quarter inch times 4, there's 1 inch. If I do that 3 more times, there's 3 inches of snow. Just like that, now you've got an accumulating snow event if you average 12 hours, a quarter inch. Or let's say 8 hours. You still got a couple inches. But let's say now, maybe we're a little bit more amplified. Just like my voice there. We got up. Let's say you do about 12 to 15 hours of an average of a third and a 3/8 of an inch to, let's say 0.4. All right, let's start doing the math. Calculator. So you do 15 hours, let's say times 0.33. And all of a sudden, you've got 5 inches of snow. Ratios, guys. Ratios on this. You got to remember. They'll be cold. Those aren't heavy snowfall rates on average. Those are light. Those are light to at best moderate. Then all of a sudden, let's say you get a period of heavy snow, let's say for a few hours, let's just say. This is not verbatim. We're just doing some math here, guys. That's it. So you snow 14 hours. Let's say it's a little bit heavier. You had a few hours of some heavier snow. Let's do 14, we'll do times 0.44. Now all of a sudden you got a 6-inch snow event because you had a couple hours of maybe some 1-inch rates. So you got to remember a lot of times when this is a math game, and that's how I do it with my snowfall maps too. I try to look at QPF. I try to look at soundings. I try to look at the overall. I take into account the overall setup. I take into account for floor of the system. I take into account middle range. I take into account higher ceiling. I try to put together what's most likely to happen as at least, not necessarily the floor, but usually middle ground floor. It can play a part. Oh, I got my correspondent from the Appalachians, Big Boy, who's been coming in for a couple years now, at least, I think. The blizzard warning in the Allegheny Mountains is really no joke. What takes me a 40-minute drive almost took me 2 hours to get home. It's wild out there. Well, stay safe, Big Boy. Stay safe, my man. It ain't easy. It ain't easy driving those. I've been in those conditions before, guys. It is not fun. It's not fun driving in those conditions. I probably haven't drove in wind as strong as that while heavy snow, but I mean, some of those lake effect bands, I've driven in those before, guys. They come down. Thank you. Heady hats for life. Thank you. You too. So yeah, are those the first blizzard? I thought those are the first blizzard warnings of the year. I feel like we've had them already somewhere in the northern plains. I could be wrong. But you see, guys, what I mean about the math game here. That's what plays a factor. Let's do a bare minimum. Let's say you go 7 hours and you average, let's say, a quarter inch per hour. We'll say even lower. We'll say 0.23. And there you go. You're still getting at least 1.5 inches of snow. You've gotten some accumulating snow now in December, you can say. through the first 2 weeks of December, you have some accumulating snow. Again, let's add a little bit more, like we did. Now all of a sudden, you got 2.5 inches of snow. Let's say you get long duration light event. You get three. You still get through over 3.5 inches of snow. You go, let's say, 17, 18 hours of just light snow, very light snow. Because let's say you get into some coastal enhancement, let's say in southeastern New England along the coast, and you just add it up. So that's how you got to keep things in mind here. That's where sometimes the model P-type maps, you have to look at soundings too. Sometimes their soundings are supportive maybe for a little bit more snow than you would think. So what's the story with this storm? Is I-95 actually going to cash in finally? I think so. Maybe not to the extent that some would wish. Probably not this massive blockbuster that people wish for, but accumulating snow, I think absolutely is in play here for I-95, and I'd honestly be surprised at this point if there wasn't at least some variation. And so that's why I think it kind of opens up the opportunities here for some overperformance based on expectations. But that's all relative, so it's depends on your perspective. See what the Canadian ensemble was. OZ, 12Z, and then the 12Z looks, well, the thing is, I like the dig, but I don't like that kind of dig. I don't want to dig this thing just to just to make it more positively tilted. I believe so, DJ Slankman, unless he just was only driving through it, and it's possible. But I'm sure he'll answer that for you in a second there. See this. Let's take a look at these unimportant but fun to look at. So we can see it's slower, but maybe not quite as. And even then, I don't think anybody would be complaining about that, except maybe the interior. But that doesn't mean 93 hours out could be a lot worse. You think we will get any nor'easter this winter in January, December for I-95? I mean, it depends on what you mean. A nor'easter is just a winter storm with northeast winds. I know some people think it has to be more. That's really all a nor'easter is. January, February. I mean, I don't know why you would take out December as well. Let's just add in, let's say, over the next couple months. I would. I mean, I don't know about specifically DC, but if we're just talking, the 95, this, this main corridor here, we're talking about this area, and or even if let's say it was a little bit farther northeast or a little bit farther south, I think there's a decent shot. What did you want to call it, a nor'easter or whatever? We'll call it some version of a double-digit storm. I'd be surprised, guys, if you're at some point. We're laying down. I know people don't want to hear it. I know some people don't want to hear it. Actually, there's some that do, but we're laying down a lot of good foundational stuff here in terms of where we're filtering cold air, snowpack building across North America, which has been fantastic to start this December. Um, in terms of the progression of teleconnections, the MJO as well. Um, I know it's the MJO is going to be a little bit weaker over the next couple weeks, but it will still The overall, in terms of how we've progressed it works well. I think potential polar vortex disruptions as well to continue. We might just continue stretching opportunities, and really all it takes is think about how close we were at times, even just last year. People will not love last year's winter, but think about how close we were at times. Um, and so that plays a part as well. So I would be surprised if we at least didn't if there wasn't one solid 8 to 12 plus inch snowstorm, like a widespread area across that this northeast area here. Even if it was just barely north of 95 and it was like front end dump 95, let's say, I'd be surprised that there wasn't at least one over the next few months here. I'd be surprised. Not that it's not impossible, but I feel the cards are playing out right for this winter. I'm hoping for Maryland. It's all it's all relative. Such a vague answer, but it's true. It's true. Now, we'd love to pull in that southern string a little bit more here, but well, we'll see. Yeah, it's probably flatter. Yeah, a little less stream separation. If we're looking at the specifics, a little bit less. Just a little bit less, but I'm sure there'll be dozens of people obsessing over the P-type maps on a lot of these runs tonight and overly caring. Um, but that's just how it goes. I bet you will watch it. Those 06Z ones that come out or those 12Z tomorrows. Some of those will look fantastic for people and oh man, we're back. But I mean, you keep going. We're here. We're back. We're not. Every 6 hours. It's just not necessary. And that's assuming you want to forecast the storm. But let's play this out here, guys. And then I kind of want to go to bed soon because this is way later than I've been staying up the past couple nights. Let's play it out here. Let's say you live. Let's say you live DC. See, let's say I'm assuming it was like 1 to 2 inches, so we'll go with 1.5. Let's say you add in. Let's say you add another two. Let's get greedy here for DC. Why not? For this weekend, you're at 3.5 inches now. At December 14th, 15th. Your seasonal average, I believe, is about 10 to 15 inches. You now have half of December, all of January, all of February, and not usually March, but you have all March to get another 10 inches of snow. Heck, even 7 to 8 inches of snow to at least come close to your averages or hit it. That's all it's going to take. That's really just how you need to start December. Because you got to be realistic. You're not going to add in the 25 incher it just doesn't work. Those are historical snowstorms and they tend to come in bunches more too. So let's play some hypothetical math. DC, let's say you get 3.5. Let's say you add in another Yeah, get some light events. You add in another 2 inches. Let's get even greedier for the rest of December. Yeah, we'll be conservative. We'll say 1.5. You've now got 5 inches of snow in December, and you got January, February, March. Say to get another 10 inches of snow. Let's say you add 4 in January, you get a 3.5 inch front end thump, and then you get a 1/2 inch light dusting from something. You now got 9. Say February, you only get one storm, it's 3 inches. You get 9 plus 3. Now you're up to 12. Let's say February, you get a light dusting, and there you go. You've now had at least an average snowfall winter, or maybe even slightly. Let's see. Yep, that's just about average. 13.7, 14 inches of snow. And there you go. You've just about hit average. Now let's say some things really turn your way. Let's say you get to say four. We'll say you get to 5 for December, and let's say you get January, and all of a sudden you get an inch and a half dusting, and you get a 6.5 inch storm. You add another one, and then let's say you get to February, you add in another 2.5 inch system. We'll say 2.2. Call a middle ground. Let's say March, you add in a 0.3 dusting on something. And all of a sudden you're slightly barely above average for the winter. We got 15.5 inches. And for DC, you've gotten about 6 to 8 snow events, let's say. And there you go. Great winter. What's my favorite storm you've tracked on here with the community? Favorite before the storm happened was January 2022. Before the storm happened. Because the potential with that one was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was such a near perfect setup for NYC. NYC still did well, but yeah, NYC could have had even a little bit more in this scenario. It was such a perfect setup for from basically like Jersey coast up to Maine to see 1 to 2 feet of snow widespread with like 2 to 3 foot like jackpot. It was such a good setup to see that, and it came so close, so close. Double barreled out for a little bit, and it missed out. Well, I didn't track Jonas 2016 Priya, so I did not. I was not on WX Twitter at the time. Other events that get up there though, December 1st, 2019. I would say the hype was a lot less around that though, just due to I don't think a lot of people were expecting 20 to 30 inch pockets there, even though it was in the cards. December 2020, I remember that band evolving like it was yesterday. I can remember exactly staying up the entire night. February 2021, since I've been on Twitter here since 2019, so I asked since I've been with the community. My favorite personal one is January 2015, but I was more so following along than really in depth at that point. But February 1st, 2021 was fantastic as well. Such a great setup. Coastal Mass will hate me for saying that, but it's true. It was really good. Coastal front killed them on that one. I was not streaming back in 2016. Just someone in the chat mentioned. I was not. No. But that is not my favorite system. I said January 2015 was my personal favorite. It's not something I tracked. There's OZ last night and OZ tonight. And you can see, compare, virtually unchanged if we compare it 24 hours out and we don't obsess of everything in between, even though, yes, these are definitely better. Can't deny that. But that's why we don't obsess over these. We keep them in mind. My favorite was my area got 1 last Friday. We'd have to get 2 to 3 inches from the Sunday storm to reach 3 to 4. So your area got 1. Sorry, I had someone DC send me 1.8, so I was assuming 1.5. But we can do the math for New York City too. What does New York have? I think New York City's got 0.1 right now. I think they had a trace. So let's say you get. So you get let's get greedy. Let's say you get 3 in New York City from this weekend. Let's say you get a front end thump, and then you add in something dumb. You get it, and then you add in something more dumb. Whatever, you get the 5.2 for December. I don't think anybody's complaining about a 5-inch snowfall for December in New York City compared to past winters. I don't. And now let's say you get that 1 storm in January. Let's just say you get it. Let's say it's not massive. Let's say it's a 6.8-inch snowstorm. If you live in New York City, local Jersey, whatever, supplies. Let's say in January now, let's say, again, conversion rate's hard, so don't take this for granted. It's not this easy. But now let's say you get a 1.5, and then you get, let's say, you get another 1 point something. You add it up. Now you've just had a 10-inch January. Say February, nothing too major, but you do get a decent one. You get another 3-inch snowfall here. And then you get slop, more slop, and then you get one more decent one on the back end of February. So now you got the 22.1. Now let's say March, you get a couple systems that add up to 1.5 inches, let's say. Now all of a sudden you've got your biggest snowfall in New York City in about since 2022. You've gotten over 20 inches of snow. So this is why I say, guys, it's systems like these that are going to happen this weekend are critical to the seasonal. It's not, I guess there is a high ceiling, but it's very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. I never say never, right? But almost never. It's events like this weekend that are critical for conversion if you want to add up to the seasonal. They're critical. Because this could add up the same way as when you were maybe thinking you were going to get maybe 5 to 8 inches in a front end thump, and then you end up with 3, let's say. It's the same way. But now let's say you overperform in DC from whatever your expectations are. Let's say, or New York City, sorry. And let's say you add in, we'll combine the 0.1 that New York City got, whenever. And let's say you get to 4.5. right? That 23.6, you add another inch and a half, let's say, that now turns into 25 on the season. So this is when I say it becomes math games. I know the calculator is not the most interesting thing we can break down, but it's true. And it plays a part. You guys know when you add up at the end of the season, you go into your notes app or you go into your notepad, however you do it. It plays a part. What in the world were you doing in the 2022-2023 winter? That was the worst winter in history. I think I still managed to get something that winter. I can check. Let me check my notes app. I think that was one of my lower totals, though, no doubt. See, I still have 34.3. Let's see. It was a bunch. See, we had the March one. That March one was key. It was so close to being such. March 2023, I just barely missed out on 2 feet of snow. Just barely. Just barely. And I actually posted something about that not too long ago, but January 2023, we had an almost 6-inch system. February 27th, 28th, we had a 5-inch system. March 4th, right after, we had a 3.5-inch system. Yeah, March we cleaned up a little bit. We had over 9 inches of snow in March, but we were still pretty well below average. We finished with 34.3, but again, here's the thing. My December total was 2.8 inches. We snowed December 14th, and we did not see a single flake after that. Let's hope we don't manifest that. And then January was well below average, too. We kind of picked up at the end a little bit, but not enough. So that's kind of how that was kind of my winter that year. And then January 2024 was pretty crappy for the most part, but I got like a 14, 15-inch snowstorm in January, and we tracked that one. That was that dynamic system. There's like a nice pocket of 15 to 20 in northern Mass in that one. There's some pretty impressive runs here still on the IFS. It's a lot of spread. That's a lot of spread for this model too. The fact we have this much spread too, it's a lot. Yeah, it's so that's why your ensemble means can get skewed, especially in these kind of setups. Just they can really get messed with here when you have this much spread. Wonder if this is the same. Of course, these aren't out yet. Take freaking forever. Still a fair amount of spread, but you can see there's a good amount too that are just barely offshore. And in these cases, the ones that are offshore too, it's not just this moves and becomes more on these ones that are just offshore. And even this one too, that's onshore. And you got to remember, 10 to 1, guys. 10 to 1 is not what's going to be here. This is an event where if you get 0.2 to 0.3 inches of QPF here, you're set. You're set to get a decent accumulating snowfall. That being said, though, there is some more potential here. There is some more potential, and I'm not going to dismiss it. But I got to see how things evolve first. but these are important. These are important. Let's see. My biggest winter in well, my biggest winter of all time is 2014, 2015. There's no question. But some of the good ones recently, let's see, 2017, 2018, roughly over 80 inches of snow that winter, which is slightly above average. It's pretty well above average. Let's see, 2020, 21 was a great winter. We had 87 inches of snow that winter. That's because we actually really didn't get much March snow, but we had April snow. We had great February snow. I mean, February was just so above average. February we had nearly 40. February we had 40 inches of snow. That February. From January 27th to February 27th, we had over 45 inches of snow. And then the key with that one too is though two blockbusters. You get two blockbusters. You get uh, February 1st to 2nd. I mean that wasn't that was I mean these are two historic. These aren't just blockbusters. We had two historic snowstorms in the same winter in 2020 2021. Given this is within the lower snow cycle as well. If we go back, really to 2016 was the multi-decade decadal yeah uh, cycle. And then also, you look back in that winter too, is not many people remember, is Hurricane Zeta turned into a snowstorm for southern New England in the Northeast. I had over 7.5 inches. Those are just you gotta do some unconventional things in those setups. December 5th too, like December was fantastic. We had two storms, even though one kind of busted December 5th. I don't know if it busted as much as models were just overdoing it, but we had over 2 feet of snow that December. It was that's a great that was a great winter. 2020 to 2023, 5.3. How's 5.3 sound? Southern Connecticut snowed one time the entire winter. It was that late February system. That's unfortunate. That was a rough winter. I was actually not here that winter though, so for a lot of the winter. But let's see, my biggest snowstorms in recent memory. This does since 2015. My biggest snowstorms. Uh, the January blizzard 2015, over 32, and I have not had a 2 foot snowfall since. Believe it or not, it's been over a decade. I have not had one since or that February storm 20.5, March 2018 19.3, the January 2022 blizzard 19.1, that December 3rd 2019 system 17, March 8th 2018 16.7. That's a 5 day span apart that we had. I mean, it's like a 10 day stretch where there was freaking, depending on where you were, you might have had 40 to 80 inches of snow. I mean, depending on where you were, that was ridiculous. More 2015, more 2020 December, more 2015. That January 6th to 7th, 2024 storm I just talked about. January 4th, 2018, January or March, back to back, March, not back to back, but that's the thing. The thing that got March into the winter discussion, it was 2017, 2018, and 2019, all back to back to back with big snowstorms. March was saving winters. Yeah. Those are kind of my biggest snowfalls all time. Or not all time, but some recent memory. December 2023, people forget about a small cat event for the Central Maryland suburbs, December 10th to 11th. What about 2005 to 2006? Hearing similarities. It's hard to do those analogs. Analogs or whatever. They can play a part, but reality is it's going to be different. I'm trying to see. December 2023. I did not pick up snow on that one. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I may not have been here, but I don't think so. See, I don't think I missed anything. All right, that's gonna do it. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. 2013 blizzard. What I get? I think it was 2 feet or just so. Yeah. But again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Probably go live a lot of these nights, or you know, YouTube videos at least one or the other. But in the meantime, I gotta get some sleep. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Until next time.